Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Leah. Tonight is a night of celebration in my house. It is my 10-year wedding anniversary today. On this day, 10 years ago, it was 42 degrees. The horrendous Balara bushfires were burning, and I got married to my husband, Tim. You might be thinking, well, geez, Leah, if it's your wedding anniversary, where are your priorities and why are you doing Ask Leah? Well, my hubby's not home, and that's because he is a firefighter with DELP, and he is currently up at Aberfeldy fighting fires, has been working extremely hard over the last month, really, first at Rosedale and now up at Aberfeldy with all of the crew from Erica DELP and the CFA volunteers as well. All our firefighters do an amazing job. So big shout out to them. Hopefully my hubby does make it home before midnight, so I can say happy anniversary, but maybe not. The other reason that today is a day of celebration is because school goes back in Willow Grove tomorrow, which is hugely exciting. I think I am more excited than the kids. My youngest starts grade prep tomorrow, which is awesome. So I will have all three boys at school. And a few people have asked me if I'm sad that my baby's going off to school, and I've got to say I'm not sad. I'm incredibly excited, and it's not about wishing him to grow up, but it is about the realities of juggling a business with being a mum. And I love having them at home, but for me to be able to do what I do, it is definitely time for school to go back. So I did make the comment this week that I think teachers should be paid double. I absolutely stand by that. I think the work that teachers do is incredible. You couldn't pay me to do it. So shout out to all the teachers out there. I know you're going back this week as well. And geez, I and so many other parents very much appreciate what you do. Hi, Carly. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Okay, tonight I've got some different questions to the last few weeks, which is awesome. And it really just goes to show the variety and depth there is to questions about communication and soft skills in general, whether it's how you manage yourself or your mindset or having those tough conversations. So let's get cracking. Let's get into it. The first one is about RSVPs, and I know that there will be plenty of people who watch this tonight who have had issues with RSVPs themselves, whether it is for a big event like a wedding, whether it is for a birthday party, function, whatever it is. It might be something for work. How do you get people to RSVP and RSVP properly? So if they say they're coming, they fully intend to come, not just maybe will I, won't I? Okay, let's get into RSVPs. I think we can pretty much all acknowledge that people in general are a bit rubbish these days at RSVPing to events. And there's a couple of reasons, I think, for it. One, everyone's incredibly busy, okay? We put those invites up on the fridge, fully intending to RSVP, and then we walk past them in a few weeks' time, glance at the RSVP, realise it was a few days ago and go, oh my goodness, and madly contact the person and apologise profusely to say, oops, sorry, missed the boat, okay? So there's part of that to it. I think part of the problem these days as well is the number of platforms that we are on. So whether it's social media, text message, phone calls, the good old hard copy RSVPs, I think some people are a bit confused about the process for RSVPing these days. Here's the thing. If you get invited to something and there is an RSVP, even if there's, even if there's not an RSVP, if you get invited to anything, the polite thing to do is to respond and let the organizer know whether you're going to be there or not. Okay, so even if it's friends saying, hey, if you're free, come around for a drink on Saturday night, even if you get that sort of text message, you need to respond. Respond and say, yep, I'd love to, I'm busy, whatever it is. But it is polite to respond, even if it's not going to impact things like per head catering. When it comes to weddings, if there is a written RSVP card as part of the invitation, you RSVP by filling that in and sending it back. Now, that might sound so ridiculously common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. So if someone's gone to the trouble as part of the invitation to include that return, often they've got the stamp on it, the return RSVP slip, that's how you RSVP. If it's to a birthday or something like that, text message is usually fine. Sometimes social media is fine. However, the key is that you do it and that you do it by the date. So the tip I use, because I am super busy and I am likely to forget these things. So if I get an invitation, it goes straight into the calendar and I RSVP immediately if I can, as quickly as possible. So that job is done. Hi, Robin, welcome. How do you get RSVPs? Say you're the organizer and you're getting itchy because you haven't got many RSVPs in and it closes in the next day or two. Do you wait until it closes and then silently fume about how many people haven't let you know? Well, I suggest not. What I suggest you do is a couple of days or the day before your RSVPs close, shoot out a message to people if it's easy enough to do, whether it's via text, social media, whatever, and just say, hey, reminder, RSVPs close Friday. Let me know if you can make it. Now, should you have to do that? No, you should not. You should not have to do that. However, is it likely to increase the amount of people who RSVP by the date that you need it to? Absolutely. You're actually better off being a bit proactive with this one than waiting, because if you have to let a venue know of numbers or something like that, you don't want to be scrambling after RSVPs close to chase that up. You can, I do know, I've done it before too, where RSVPs have closed and the next day or something, you might send out a message. If there's people that you were pretty sure were going to come and say, hey, what's going on, you might do that. I encourage you to be proactive, send it out there. Hi, Tanya, thanks for joining. So that's RSVPs. Second one tonight is a bit of a tricky one. It came in from someone who is relatively new to an organisation. Actually not that new, probably 6-7 months into working for an organisation. And when they were hired, one of their leaders there, as part of the hiring process, explained the pay rise structure, and that based on performance, there would be pay rises, I think it was at the 1, 3 and 6 month mark, depending on performance, because they've got some different levels within their organisation. And in those first few months, they're working out, hi Hannah, working out where people sit. Now, the problem is the leader has left the organisation and it doesn't appear to be in the contracts. So this person was promised something, took a job based on those promises. That person who did the promises has left. Now, in a wonderful, perfect world, we would be able to take people at their word. Okay, we should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we don't live in a wonderful, perfect world. And I'm really sorry to say that if it's not written into the contract, you're not entitled to it. That said, the big learning would be for this person and anyone listening, anytime your boss or someone says, yeah, sure, you can have that day off as time in lieu, or, sure, you can have a pay rise or whatever it is, make sure you get it in writing. And you don't have to do that in a stuffy way. Sometimes it can be as simple as going back to your desk and just shooting off an email to them saying, confirming as discussed, I'll be leaving at 3 o'clock today. to attend a doctor's appointment that you've agreed you're happy for me to go to. I mean, you don't have to do this formal thing in a lot of organisations. You can have that give and take. But if you're at an organisation where you think it might come back to bite you on the bum because one person says something and then they're not following the rules and it comes back to bite you, get things in writing, document them. Even if you don't take it to the leader, document it yourself, that you had a conversation with them at this time on this date and this is what was said. It doesn't hold as much power as if you'd given it to them, but it's still something. Now, the second part to this question, unfortunately, was while they think it's not in the contract because one of their other colleagues has told them it's not in the contract, this person doesn't actually have a copy of their own contract. They've asked multiple times over the last few months and they haven't been given it. And quite frankly, that is just not good enough. Welcome, Jenny. Great to have you on live. It's not good enough. So I would ask again for the contract and I'd think about how you frame the question. So, you might frame it around, wanting to make sure you've got a really clear understanding of the expectations on you and, would like a copy for your records. If that's still not forthcoming, do a bit of a suss out around your office as to whether most people have copies of their contracts or not, because it may be that this is something that isn't just an issue for you. It might be an issue for some other employees as well. If it is, it might be worth then collectively approaching management and asking for copies of your contracts. Again, you can do that in a really calm, assertive way that, explains, look, we know that part of the agreement when we started was that we all got an individual copy of our contract. You'd love to get that copy of it now. But ask the question and do get that collective voice if there is one to have. Tricky situation, and I'm more than happy to have a follow-up conversation with you about that. The third question that came in over the last week, and it's one that I spoke about this morning on Gippsland FM, if anyone tuned in, and it's how to deal with people who try to pull you down. Now, I've spoken about tall poppy syndrome a bit on this show before, but I'm going to give some of the tips again because this is a big one. There will always be people out there who will try to cut you down. It's almost a national sport here in Australia because one of the worst things you can be seen is too big for your boots. People like to pull you down a peg or two if they think you're out there, striving too hard or trying to achieve. You don't want to be too big for your boots. And I bloody hate tall poppy syndrome, and it really is something that I rail against because just because other people shine brightly doesn't dampen your own spark. So how do you respond when someone is tearing you down? And unfortunately, here's the thing with other people cutting you down. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, it can be people that you love. So we always associate straight away with internet trolling or social media put downs and tearing other people down. And that's horrible, but I can tell you what is more horrible and more hurtful is when it is a partner, a parent, a sibling, a close friend, close colleague doing that tearing down of you. And it happens all the time, unfortunately. And a lot of the time it's because the other person, two things here. One, the other person doesn't get it. Okay, it's not their thing. So it might be that you started a business and you love it and you're going out and doing certain things and the other person has no idea about business. Why would you leave a corporate job to start a business? They might be saying some hurtful things that they don't realise is hurtful because they're not in that world. Same if you're into fitness, or maybe you've set yourself a goal of running a marathon or losing a certain amount of weight. And that just might not be the other person's world. So again, they can be putting you down. Why would you want to run a marathon? Why would you even do that? That's stupid. Why would you put your body through that? Because they don't get it. Okay, so understand that just because someone has an opinion on something doesn't make it true. And that can actually be part of your response sometimes. You know what? Yep, thanks for your opinion on that one. Something to consider. Can be a great way of just shutting that down. Another tip on responding to people who try to pull you down, welcome to those who have just joined, is to get really clear on what success means for you, of your values, who you are and what you stand for. Because when you know yourself well, okay, when you are really clear on who you are and what you want to be, other people's insults and tear downs don't have as much impact because you are sure of yourself. They have their opinions, but you know that you're doing the right thing for you. It's incredibly powerful. And that's why I do so much work with people on their values, on that question of what is success for you, because a lot of us have never stopped and thought about it. I ask you that question now. Think about it tonight. Because in my workshops, I will often say to people, who wants to be successful? And everyone puts up their hand. And then I say to them, great, what does success mean to you? And a lot of people look back at me blankly. And sometimes I'll get them to do an activity around this. And it's incredible because a lot of the time when they really sit with that question, they realize that, success for me isn't necessarily climbing the corporate ladder. It's not necessarily earning the most money. Maybe it's spending more time with my family. Maybe it is being in a job I love that has purpose rather than that pays top dollar. So often we get on the treadmill of what we think we should be doing and we just automatically go to that next step because that's sort of what society tells us we should want. And when we get caught up in that and we haven't done the thinking about who we are and what we want, that's when other people's barbs tend to hurt. That's when the tear downs hurt. Okay, but when you are clear, they have such less impact. Understand if someone is tearing you down, if someone is trying to tear you down, understand. And hi, Kathy, yes, this is our live one and living the life. Okay, number 2, realize that when someone tears you down, it's about their insecurities and not about you at all. It actually has nothing to do with you. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Okay, when you have a crack at life, when you step up and take on a goal or take on a challenge, that can be threatening for other people because for them, it might shine a light on the things that they're not doing. So maybe they want to lose weight as well. Okay, or maybe they have always wanted to write a book, or there just might be some goals out there, and because of their own limiting beliefs and self-doubt, they haven't gone and done that, and then you are doing it. Rather than look into themselves and do that self-reflection where they say, geez, I'm feeling a bit jealous of them, and I think it's because I wish I was out there having a crack too. The people who tear others down don't stop and do that self-reflection. They just think, if I tear you down, that makes me feel a bit better about myself. They'll never admit that, but that's often what's going on. And to that end, it's actually really sad, and be quite glad you're not them. I know I have talked to a few of you about this before, but when I first started running workshops, 4 years or so ago now, I live in the small town of Willow Grove, as you all know, only a small community. There's a community group Facebook page, as there is for a lot of towns. And when I first started, I put a post up about one of the workshops I was running, and it was all very exciting, but it was just it wasn't an over-the-top post. It was just, hey, this is what I'm doing. Anyone is interested, let me know. And someone in that group, so it's someone within the community, through a fake profile, trolled me and posted some really hurtful things that were quite ignorant, pretty much feeding into that voice of self-doubt. Who do you think you are? What do you know about any of this stuff? And when I first read it, I went, oh my goodness, that's really hurtful. Geez, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. All those insecurities or those little voices that you might have. And then I clicked on the profile, which was a picture of a dog. They had about 11 friends from places like Nigeria, Russia, China, no one local, generic as Melbourne as where they lived. And it was very clearly a fake profile. And when I saw that and I stopped and paused, I went, how sad is this? Who has time to set up a fake Facebook profile to say mean things about other people, to make themselves feel better? That's actually really sad. And I'm glad I'm not that person. I'm actually really happy to be the person out there having a crack. And when I was able to look at it like that, with that bit of empathy, and realize that them saying nasty things was about them and not actually about me and what I was doing, it helped me to be able to brush that off. Okay, so the key thing there, and with a lot of these cases, is don't engage, don't react, because these people want a reaction. You got to do that whole, it doesn't mean you have to ignore it, but calm, assertive, don't retaliate. Don't drop down to their level. When you play in the mud, everyone gets muddy. Don't do it. Okay. The last points on this topic before I sign off: distance yourself from toxic people. If you've got someone who always tears you down, start limiting your time with them. Yes, even if that is family. Doesn't mean you cut them off. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. But if there's someone who's always negative about what you do and puts you down, a couple of things: distance yourself from them, or maybe stop sharing everything that you're doing with them. Okay. And the second part to that is find your tribe. Build a community around you of people who do get it. Okay. So if you love fitness and exercise, create a little tribe with other people that you train with or other people that get it, and share your wins, your exercise wins, with them. If you lift a new PB, share it with them. The people who are going to be like, woohoo, go you, you're awesome. Share it with them. You might mention it to someone else, but you don't expect them to get super excited. Yes, you want their love and support, but they don't get it. So find that tribe, find those people who champion you and lift you up. There's a saying that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So ask yourself who that is for you. Who do you surround yourself with? Now, some people in my workshops say, you know what? I don't have people. I don't have any connections. I don't have anyone I can reach out to. And here's the thing, the beauty of technology these days, if you don't have those people close by at hand right now, you can still create that tribe of people around you to support you and lift you up. You can do it through niche groups online who are interested in the same thing as you are, that you can share your wins. I'm in some great online groups for female entrepreneurs, readers, people who love books and fitness ones. Surround yourself that way. Find your tribe. Listen to podcasts. Have positive people in your ear every morning when you go for a walk or when you're in the car. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with those people who lift you up, whether they're in the room with you or in your earbuds. And don't let other people's words and put downs have that impact on you. I know it's not easy, but it is possible. Before I sign off tonight, I do just want to remind you, next Wednesday, I have my first public workshop of the year in Traralgon at Traralgon Business Centre from 6:15 till 9:15. And it is one of my favourite workshops to present. Shut the hell up. How to control that little voice of self-doubt. Some of the things that we've spoken about tonight will be touched on, but we go really into this. How do you deal with that little voice inside your head that is sometimes made louder by other people around you getting inside your head. So if you want tickets, they are available through the events page on the MethMac Facebook page. I hope to see some of you there. It's always a cracking great night. It is one of my favourite to present. Anyway, I'm off to have a celebratory glass of wine for my 10-year wedding anniversary and the first day of school tomorrow for my kiddies. Enjoy your night, folks, and thanks for tuning in. Ciao.